By 9 the next morning, half the company had seen a photograph of me carrying my drunk boss into her apartment building. By 9:15, Human Resources asked whether Claire Mercer had promised me a promotion. By 9:20, Ava's school called. Another parent had shown her the picture. The caption said, "Single dad finally finds a way to get ahead." I was still reading it when Claire walked into the office. She looked immaculate. I expected her to pass my desk and pretend she did not remember calling me at 1:47. Instead, she set a gray folder beside my coffee. A red wine stain marked one corner. Her hand trembled before she pulled it away. "I remember everything," she said. "Then tell them nothing happened." Claire glanced toward the conference room. Graham Vale stood beside the glass wall, watching us. Something did happen. She opened the folder. Inside was a termination order with my name on it. Beneath it were 3 years of reviews accusing me of poor commitment, unstable priorities, and excessive absences. Every absence was a day Ava had been sick, stranded at school, or waiting in a doctor's office. Every page carried Claire's signature. "You wrote this?" I signed it. "That is not better." "No," she said. "It is worse." Graham started toward us. "Claire, you are not well. Let us handle this privately." She flinched but kept the folder open. Then she slid one final page across my desk. It was the original proposal for the largest account our firm had ever won. My name remained in the author field. "They plan to fire you Monday," Claire said, loud enough for Graham to hear, "and put his name on your campaign before the client signed Friday." Graham stopped. Claire placed her phone beside the folder. On the screen was the uncropped lobby camera image from the night before. In the glass, Graham stood near the entrance, speaking to the security manager who had released the footage. That was when I realized the photograph was not the scandal. It was the cover story. 12 hours earlier, the gray folder had been pressed against Claire's chest while she sat barefoot outside the Calder Hotel bar. I had been home finishing a story for Ava's birthday when Claire called 5 times in 20 minutes. I ignored the first 4. 3 weeks earlier, she had denied my request to attend Ava's science fair, then asked why I seemed distracted during a client review. The 5th call ended before I answered. Then, a message appeared. "Please come alone. Do not let Graham see you." My sister Nora arrived in sweatpants and glanced toward Ava's bedroom. "This is the woman who made you miss the recital? She says she is in trouble. You always go when someone makes needing you sound like an emergency." I did not answer because she was right. Beside my keys, an unread message from Rachel had waited since afternoon. "Ava says you missed the science fair. We need to talk about whether your schedule is stable enough." Rachel had not attended the science fair either. I left the message unanswered and drove to the Calder. The bartender at the Calder pointed toward a hallway beside the private lounge. "She cannot drive," he said. The man she came with already left. Claire sat on the carpet with one heel missing, her white blouse stained red. Both hands covered the folder. Relief crossed her face when she saw me. "Ethan, you need a hospital?" "No." "Did someone hurt you?" Her gaze moved to the elevator. "Not tonight." I crouched without touching her. "Can you stand?" "If you take the folder." "I am not taking company property. It has your name in it." The elevator chimed. Claire shoved the folder under my coat. "Please." It was the first time she had used that word with me. Graham stepped into the hallway in a navy suit and silver tie, calm enough to make everyone else feel unreasonable. "Ethan," he said. "Unexpected." Claire gripped my sleeve. Graham's eyes dropped to the shape beneath my coat. "Give me the file." "I do not know what file you mean." "Claire has had too much to drink. I can handle this." "You already handled enough," she said. The bartender watched from the doorway. A security camera blinked above the elevator. Graham noticed both. "You are making a mistake, Claire." "No. I made it 6 months ago." He reached for her arm. I stepped between them. The same automatic movement I used when a stranger came too close to Ava in a crowd. Graham's hand stopped. The polish left his face, then returned. "Take her home," he said. "We will discuss the rest on Monday." Claire leaned against me. "He means your last day." I put her in a cab and gave the driver her address. At her building, she could barely manage the lobby steps. The security manager looked toward the street. Graham stood beside a black sedan, speaking to the building's security manager. Claire saw him. "Keep walking." Inside the elevator, she closed her eyes. "Why me?" "Because you still tell the truth when it costs you." "You do not know me well enough to say that." "I know exactly what I asked you to give up." She remembered the recital, the science fair, and every promotion interview that had gone nowhere. Her penthouse had white counters, gray furniture, and one photograph held to the refrigerator by a chipped blue magnet. The woman beside Claire in the picture shared her eyes, but not her guardedness. "My mother," Claire said. "She died 6 years ago tonight." I handed her a glass of water. "I am sorry." "So am I." She pointed at the folder beneath my coat. "Open it. You are drunk. I will still be guilty in the morning." I placed it on the counter but kept it closed. "Graham told the board you were unreliable," she said. "I let him use your daughter as proof." My first instinct was to list every deadline I had met, and every night I had worked after Ava fell asleep. Instead, I asked, "Why?" "Because the sale needed clean personnel records. Because you owned too much of the campaign. Because I wanted the board to stop questioning me." She pressed both palms to the counter. "And because I signed it." "Go to sleep." "Ethan, I am not reading this while you cannot stand. If you leave it here, Graham will take it. I will lock it in my car and return it when you are sober." Her phone lit up. "Do not make this worse." Then another message appeared. "If Cole has the file, we proceed with the photograph." I read it twice. Claire's voice steadied. "He was not warning me." "No. He was telling you what would happen." She nodded. The next morning, she came to my desk with the folder, the uncropped image, and the first honest sentence she had ever given me. But as Graham crossed the office toward us, I understood honesty was not the same as safety. And Claire had not yet told me what she had done 6 months earlier that made him certain she would keep signing whatever he put in front of her. Graham reached my desk and placed 2 fingers on the folder. "Conference room. Now." Claire covered his hand with hers. "No." The word was quiet, but it stopped him. 2 people from Human Resources appeared behind the glass. One carried a legal pad, the other carried a cardboard box with my employee number taped to the side. My phone vibrated again. "Ava, Dad, are you in trouble?" For years, I had answered questions like that by making myself smaller. I would say everything was fine, apologize for the inconvenience, and carry the damage home where no one at work had to see it. This time, I closed the folder under my palm. "Before we go anywhere," I said, "Claire is going to tell me what happened 6 months ago." Graham's smile disappeared. The conference room had 12 chairs, but only 4 were occupied when Graham closed the door. Claire sat across from me. Lena Ortiz from Human Resources opened her legal pad. Beside her, a junior manager placed the cardboard box on the floor, as if my departure had already been scheduled. Graham remained standing. "This is unnecessary," he said. "So was the photograph," Claire replied. His jaw tightened. I kept my phone face down on the table. Ava's message still burned through the screen. "Dad, are you in trouble?" 6 months ago," I said. "What happened?" Claire folded her hands. "The Hale campaign." "I know which campaign." "No. You know the version they let you keep." She told me I had been listed as lead strategist on the original proposal. The board questioned why someone at my level controlled the concept, client language, and research. Graham answered that I lacked the availability required to lead the account. "He asked me to support that," she said. "And you did?" "Yes." Lena's pen stopped. Graham turned from the glass. Claire was protecting the account. "I was protecting myself," Claire said. That was the first answer in the room that did not sound rehearsed. She had been acting chief creative officer for only 3 months. If the Hale account failed, she would lose the title. If it succeeded, the company would begin acquisition talks with North Star Media. My proposal had been the strongest thing on the table. My family schedule had been the easiest weakness to use. "I told them you were talented but inconsistent," Claire said. "You knew I was not. I knew you answered emails at midnight because I would not let you leave work unfinished. I knew you came in early after taking Ava to urgent care. I knew every deadline you missed was one I moved." The words did not make the past lighter. They made it precise. Graham leaned both hands on the table. "This is becoming emotional." "No," I said. "It is becoming documented." Another message moved my phone against the table. "Ava. Mrs. Kemp says, I can stay in the counselor's office until you call." The old response rose before I could stop it. "I am sorry." I had typed those words to teachers, doctors, managers, neighbors, and my own daughter more times than I could count. Claire noticed my thumb above the screen. "Call her." Graham gave a short laugh. "We are in the middle of an internal investigation. She is 9, and he is an employee." Claire turned toward him. "He is both. For 3 years, That office had treated fatherhood like a private defect. Claire had enforced the rule more brutally than anyone. Now, she was the first person in the room to say the two parts of me could exist together. I called Ava. "Are you getting fired?" she asked. "I do not know. Is the picture true? I helped someone get home safely." "Then why did they make it sound bad?" "Someone wanted people to misunderstand." "Did you do something wrong?" I watched Graham straighten his cuffs. "No." The answer felt unfamiliar. "I will pick you up this afternoon," I said. "You have work. You are my work too." Her breath caught softly. "Okay, Dad." When the call ended, I placed the phone beside the folder, instead of hiding it in my lap. Graham sat down. "This company has accommodated your circumstances repeatedly." Accommodated meant tolerated. Circumstances meant Ava. Repeatedly meant I was expected to be grateful enough not to notice the cost. My former wife, Rachel, had spoken that language differently. She left on a Wednesday morning while Ava was at preschool. No shouting, no affair exposed. Just a note beneath the sugar bowl. "I cannot spend the rest of my life being needed." For 2 years afterward, I tried to prove that needing nothing made me easier to keep. I refused help, took freelance work after midnight, and accepted every late assignment because I believed usefulness was the closest thing to security. People learned quickly. Graham learned first. Claire learned from him. "You knew I would not complain," I said. "You were given opportunities." Graham replied. "I was given work. You were compensated, not for surrendering ownership of my ideas." Lena shifted in her chair. "This conversation should pause until counsel is present." Claire reached for the stained corner of the folder. "There is another document." She removed a memorandum dated 6 months earlier. It proposed transferring authority over the campaign to Graham because my domestic obligations created unacceptable continuity exposure. At the bottom was a handwritten note. "He will not fight this." The handwriting was Graham's. Lena read it twice. "I saw that note before I signed," Claire said. Graham answered too quickly. "It referred to his history of cooperation." "No, it referred to his habit of accepting harm quietly." Her voice did not rise. That made the admission worse. "You used that habit too," I said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because Graham told me North Star would not buy a company led by someone who could not control her team. Because I thought losing that title would make every sacrifice after my mother died mean nothing. And Ava made those sacrifices easier to justify." Claire swallowed. "Yes." Rachel had once said she envied how naturally Ava needed me. Months later, she left. Claire had stayed close enough to punish me for having the things she had lost. Lena closed her legal pad. "Mr. Cole, no termination action will proceed today." "Today? We need to review the file." Graham stood. "This company cannot function if every difficult management decision is rewritten as misconduct." I slid the memorandum toward Lena. "Then do not rewrite it. Read it." He looked at me differently. Not as an employee asking for fairness. As a problem refusing to remain useful. Claire gathered the remaining pages. "I will provide the archived emails." Graham's composure cracked. "You do not have access to those." "I made copies." "You were instructed to delete them." Claire went still. Lena looked up. It was not a denial. It was confirmation. Graham released the chair he had gripped. "I am ending this meeting." He left without waiting for agreement. Claire pushed the folder toward me. "There is a copy of every review inside." "I already saw enough." "No. You saw what they wrote. You should also see what you wrote." Between the reviews were my original self-assessments, softened before submission because I did not want to sound difficult. Beside a question about professional goals, I had written, "Build work I can be proud to show my daughter." Claire had circled the sentence in blue ink. "You remembered this?" I remembered all of it. "Then why did you keep acting like she was the reason I did not belong here?" "Because every time you left to take care of her, I saw someone choosing a person over a title." The honesty carried no request for forgiveness. It only placed the wound between us. Ava needed me at school. My job might be disappearing. Claire had helped build the lie now collapsing around us. Still, she had seen the part everyone else called weakness and named it for what it was. A choice. I stood and picked up the folder. "This does not fix anything. I know. I do not trust you. I know. And if you try to repair this by promoting me, paying me, or protecting me from what you signed, I will walk." Claire nodded. "What do you need?" The old answer would have been nothing. I lifted the cardboard box from the floor and placed it between us. "I need you to stop deciding what I can survive." Her eyes dropped to the box. Then she moved it out of my way. Maya Chen was waiting beside my car when I left the building. She held her laptop against her chest and kept glancing toward the security cameras above the garage entrance. "You should not be here," I said. "Neither should the file you are carrying. I am picking up my daughter." "I know. I only need 2 minutes." Maya had worked beside me for 4 years. She knew Ava's birthday, my coffee order, and which clients needed silence before they trusted an idea. She had also sat 3 desks away that morning while the photograph moved through the office. "What do you know?" She opened the laptop on the hood of my car. A project archive filled the screen. "The Hail campaign was migrated to Graham's executive drive 6 months ago," she said. "I handled the transfer." My hand stayed on the car door. "Did he tell you why?" "He said the client wanted 1 point of accountability. And you believed him." "I wanted to." That answer belonged to someone carrying more than technical regret. Maya opened the version history. My name appeared beside the first 43 revisions. Then Claire's. Then Graham's. The final board copy listed only Graham as author. "I thought changing the attribution was temporary," Maya said. "Then your access was reduced. You never asked me. You never complained." The sentence landed with the accuracy of an old insult. My silence had not protected me. It had given everyone permission to assume I agreed. Maya selected an archived folder marked Legacy Drafts. A password box appeared. "I cannot open this from my account anymore." "Who can?" "Claire, Graham, Lina. And you brought me downstairs to show me something we cannot read." "No." She reached into her coat pocket and removed a flash drive. "I copied the metadata before access was removed." "I did not take it." "Why now?" "Because Graham asked me to certify that you had never been the campaign owner." A car turned into the garage. Maya closed the laptop. "I told him I needed time." "You mean time to decide which version of the truth protects you?" Her face tightened. "Yes." At Ava's school, the counselor met me near the front office. Ava sat inside with her backpack on her knees. She had drawn black lines across the photograph on her phone until the image was almost hidden. "Mrs. Kemp says kids should not have shown it to me," she said when we reached the car. "She is right. Did Miss Mercer make you take her home?" "No." "Did you want to?" "She needed help." Ava rubbed the corner of her backpack strap. "Mom used to say people always need you when they want something." The keys slipped against my palm. Rachel had said that during our last argument, when I left dinner to help a coworker whose car had broken down. At the time, I called her unfair. After she left, the sentence became a rule I never admitted I followed. Be useful. Do not ask what it costs. Sometimes people do use kindness, I said. That does not make kindness wrong. Then why are you in trouble? Because being right had never guaranteed safety. Someone told a lie about why I helped her. Are you going to let them? The question came without accusation. That made it harder to answer. No. I drove Ava to Nora's apartment, where soup simmered on the stove and 3 missed calls from Human Resources waited on my phone. Nora read my face before I spoke. How bad? I may lose the job. May. I'm trying not to make promises I cannot keep. Ava disappeared into the bedroom she used when she stayed overnight. Nora lowered her voice. You have rent, insurance, school fees. I know. And this Claire woman signed the reviews? Yes. Then stop treating her confession like courage. I am not. You always do this. Someone admits they hurt you, and you start calculating how difficult it was for them. The kitchen timer clicked off. Neither of us moved. Nora had watched me defend Rachel long after Rachel stopped calling Ava regularly. She had loaned me money twice and never mentioned it afterward. Her anger had earned the right to be specific. I have not forgiven Claire, but you are already making room for why she did it. My phone rang again. Claire. I answered on speaker. Ethan, do not open anything Maya gives you on a company device. Nora's eyes narrowed. How do you know she spoke to me? I saw her leave the garage after you. So Graham saw her too. A pause. Yes. What is on the drive? Metadata, approval logs, and a deleted message chain. You said you made copies. I made 1 copy. Maya made another without telling me. Nora folded her arms. Claire continued. The message chain proves Graham ordered the attribution change before the board presentation. And what does it prove about you? That I approved the final file. Nora mouthed. There it is. Come to my apartment, Claire said. Bring a personal laptop. Do not connect it to company Wi-Fi. No. Ethan, you do not get to summon me. Her breath changed. You are right. The correction came quickly, but not smoothly. Where do you want to meet? Nora slid a notepad across the counter and wrote, "Public place." "Library conference room," I said. 6 o'clock. Claire arrived without makeup, carrying no purse, only the stained folder and an old silver laptop. Maya came 5 minutes later. She looked surprised to see Claire. "I thought this was only Ethan." "That is why I am here," Claire said. "No more private versions." The conference room had glass walls and a camera above the door. Nora waited outside with Ava among the children's shelves. Maya inserted the flash drive. Folders appeared by date. The earliest contained my research, client interviews, taglines, and the presentation script I had written over 3 weekends. The second contained a message from Graham to Claire. "We need a cleaner leadership story before North Star reviews the account." Claire had replied, "Ethan built the strategy. Graham, then make him support." Another message followed 12 minutes later. "His family situation gives us the justification." Claire's response was only one word: "Understood." I read it again, not because I had misunderstood it, because some betrayals hurt more when they are efficient. Claire did not explain. Maya opened the approval log. Claire had authorized the change at 11:42 p.m. At 11:51, she sent me a message. "Excellent work today. Get some rest." I remembered reading it beside Ava's bed while she slept with a fever. I had believed Claire was finally noticing the work. She had been removing my name while thanking me for it. The air conditioning hummed above us. Nora stood outside the glass, watching my face. "I need a copy," I said. Maya shook her head. "If we duplicate it, the system can flag the checksum. Then how do I prove any of this?" Claire turned the laptop toward me. "The archive has an external verification record. North Star requested it during due diligence. So the buyer has a copy." "Yes." "Can Graham alter it?" "No, but he can accuse you of stealing confidential material before anyone agrees to release it." Maya closed the folder. "He already started." She opened her email. A message from Graham had arrived. Subject: Security breach Ethan Cole. The body instructed staff to preserve all communications and report any contact from me. It said I had removed proprietary documents while Claire was impaired. At the bottom, Graham had copied the Hale client and North Star's legal team. Claire pressed her thumb against the wine stain on the folder. "He is moving faster than I expected." "No," I said. "He is moving exactly as fast as you taught him he could." My phone lit up with a message from a parent I knew only from the school directory. "Is this Ava outside the library?" Someone posted it in the class group. Below it was a photograph of Ava entering the library with Nora. Claire looked at the screen. "Graham did not send that. He did not have to," I said. The story had become useful to people who wanted an explanation simpler than the truth. By 8, it no longer needed an author. By 8:15 the next morning, the photograph of Ava entering the library had reached the company before we did. Someone had posted it beneath the image of Claire in my arms. The caption read, "Family Strategy." Nora read it while Ava built a wall from library books. "This is not gossip anymore," Nora said. Claire stood beside the table, controlled. "It never was." Maya lowered the screen. "Graham wants people to believe Ethan planned this with Claire and used Ava to make himself look sympathetic." "No," I said. "He wants me to react like someone who has something to hide." My thumb hovered over the reply box beneath the post. I had already typed, "I am sorry this has become a distraction. I only helped a colleague in distress." The sentence apologized, minimized, and asked strangers to believe me without challenging the lie. Ava pushed another book into place. "Are you writing that you are sorry?" I deleted the message. "No." Claire's phone rang. "Lena Ortiz." Claire answered on speaker. "The board is holding an emergency meeting at 9, Lena said. "North Star's council will attend remotely. Richard Hale is coming in person." "Why Hale?" I asked. "Because Graham told him the campaign may have been developed through an undisclosed personal arrangement between you and Claire." Maya swore under her breath. Lena continued. "Security has also received a complaint that Mr. Cole brought a minor into a meeting involving confidential company records." Nora stepped closer to the phone. "My niece was in the children's section of a public library." "I understand." "No. You understand the sentence. You are still repeating the accusation." Lena's Pause was brief. The word being used is compromised. Claire's fingers tightened around the back of a chair. "Who used it first?" "Graham." "Of course he had." Compromise did not accuse me of one specific act. It invited everyone to imagine the worst one. Claire ended the call and reached for the folder. "I will explain what happened." "That will make it worse," Maya said. "I signed the reviews. I approved the attribution change. I will not let him. He wants you to defend me, I said. She stopped. If you say I deserve the promotion, he calls it favoritism. If you say the photograph was innocent, he says you are protecting me. If you admit the file exists, he says I took advantage of you while you were drunk. Claire released the chair. So I do nothing? You tell the truth about what you did, not what kind of man I am. The distinction hurt her. It was supposed to. At 8:52, we entered the main conference room through separate doors. Graham sat at the head of the table beside Lena. Board members, department heads, Richard Hale, and North Star's counsel watched me take the chair closest to the exit. Graham opened a printed packet. This meeting concerns a serious breakdown in professional boundaries. He did not glance at Claire when he said it. The company has reason to believe that confidential materials were removed by an employee while a senior executive was impaired. Claire drew breath. I spoke before she could. I did not remove the folder from her apartment. She brought it to my desk the next morning. Graham nodded sympathetically. That is your account. It is also mine, Claire said. He turned toward her. And your judgment is part of what we are evaluating. Richard Hale opened his copy of the packet. Where did the photograph come from? Graham answered smoothly. Building security footage. Who requested it? We are still determining that. Claire shifted in her chair. She knew. So did I. But the uncropped frame alone showed Graham speaking to the security manager, not what he asked for. A board member named Paul Danner tapped the page. Mr. Cole, were you seeking advancement from Miss Mercer before Friday night? I applied for 2 promotions through the normal process. Both denied? Yes. And the morning after you took her home, she brought you documents challenging those decisions. Yes. Paul leaned back. You understand the appearance. The old instinct returned. Explain every hour. Prove how little I had wanted. Make my life small enough to seem harmless. My hand closed around the edge of the table. I understand the appearance Graham created. One of the department heads finally raised her eyes. Graham's smile thinned. This is not about appearances. It is about whether your relationship with Claire compromised business decisions. There was no relationship. Yet she called you at 1:47 in the morning. She called because she believed you were trying to recover the file. That is speculation. Claire placed both palms flat on the table. No. That is why I called him. Graham did not react. Paul addressed her. Why, Mr. Cole? Because the documents concerned him, she said. And because I had participated in falsifying the record used against him. The attorney beside Richard Hale stopped writing. Graham tilted his head. Claire is under considerable emotional strain. She flinched. He saw it, and continued. Her mother's death anniversary has historically affected her judgment. Cruelty often worked better when spoken quietly. Claire's mouth opened, then closed. I wanted to defend her. That was another trap. Instead, I turned to Lena. Was Claire's medical or personal history included in the materials circulated before this meeting? Lena's expression changed. No. Then Graham just introduced it to discredit a witness. Richard Hale shut the packet. Answer the original question, Graham. Who authorized release of the image? Graham linked his fingers on the table. The security manager shared it after observing conduct he considered concerning. Did you ask him to preserve or crop the footage? I asked him to protect the company. Not a confession. A phrase polished enough to survive one. The North Star attorney spoke from the screen. We will need the complete footage and all communications relating to its release. Graham's gaze warned Claire not to move. Paul turned back to me. Until this review concludes, you will remain on paid administrative leave. You are not to contact staff, clients, or vendors. What about my health insurance? It remains active for now. For now. Richard Hale pushed his chair away from the table. I will not approve the Friday expansion until authorship is verified. Graham's control slipped. The delay could cost this company 7 figures. Then you should have kept better records. The meeting ended without a vote. Outside the conference room, employees had gathered beneath the pretense of checking phones and carrying files. Maya stood near the elevators. Nora waited beside security with Ava. Ava saw me and started forward. The security manager blocked her with one arm. Employees and authorized visitors only. She is with me, I said. Not while your access is suspended. Ava stopped. Every face in the corridor turned toward us. Graham emerged behind me. He kept his voice low enough to sound reasonable. This is what happens when personal circumstances compromise professional judgment. I felt the apology rise again. Sorry for bringing her. Sorry for making this visible. Sorry my daughter existed where the company could see her. Ava clutched the straps of her backpack. I crossed the distance between us and took her hand. My daughter is not a circumstance. No one spoke. Security opened the glass door. As we walked out, Ava whispered, "Did I make it worse?" That was the public wound Graham had wanted, not the photograph or the suspension. My 9-year-old daughter believing she was the reason people had decided her father could not be trusted. Ava did not speak during the drive home. She sat in the back seat with her backpack on her lap and watched the city pass through the window. At a red light, I reached for the radio. "Can we not?" I left it off. Nora met us at the apartment with groceries. While she helped Ava with homework, I called the insurance provider and learned that paid leave did not guarantee permanent coverage. By 7, Ava had gone to bed without asking for the story I had promised to finish. Nora stood in my kitchen, cutting carrots too hard. "You need a lawyer." "I need money for a lawyer." "You have savings." "That is rent." She set the knife down. "You still think asking for help gives people a reason to leave?" A knock sounded at the door. Nora checked the peephole. "Your problem is wearing a gray coat." Claire stood in the hallway, holding a paper bag and the stained folder. "I brought dinner," she said. "He does not need dinner from you," Nora replied. "I know. He needs to hear something I should not send by email." Nora glanced at me. 10 minutes, I said. Claire entered without removing her coat. She placed the bag on the counter and stayed near the door. The apartment felt smaller with her inside it. Ava's drawings covered the refrigerator. Unpaid bills sat beneath a magnet. Her blue mug leaned beside the sink, its handle loose. "What is the next part?" I asked. Claire put the folder on the table. I removed a memorandum from North Star's due diligence folder. Nora leaned back against the counter. "When?" 3 weeks ago. North Star requested every record, explaining why leadership changed on the Hale campaign. "You removed the one that hurt you." "Yes." "What did it say?" "That your family responsibilities made you a continuity risk." "That language is already in my reviews." The draft went further. I wrote it before Graham wrote his note. It proved I did not merely approve the argument. I gave him the first version. Nora gave a quiet laugh. "So this was not one bad decision 6 months ago?" "No." "You concealed it again?" "Yes." Claire's fingers pressed into the paper bag. "I knew the record was false, and I protected the version that protected me." "How much did the sale mean to you?" "My shares would have paid my mother's medical debt and the loan against her house." "You said the house was handled." "That was another lie." Nora moved toward the hallway. "I am checking on Ava before I say something she should not hear." Claire opened the bag after she left. 2 containers of soup, bread, and tea appeared. "I did not know what you eat." "So you bought everything beige?" A surprised breath escaped her. She lifted one container. "Chicken and rice." "Ava hates celery." I picked it out of hers. The sentence stopped me. "How did you know?" "You always order 2 lunches when she is sick. 1 without celery." Claire had seen the details and chosen the lie anyway. I set a bowl before her. "You should eat." "I did not come for that." "You have not eaten." She sat only after I moved to the opposite side of the table. For several minutes, the spoon touching ceramic was the only sound. "You said Graham wrote the reviews." I said. "He drove them, but the language was yours. Unstable priorities, continuity risk." Her spoon stopped. "Yes." "You drafted the first one." "Yes." That review had arrived the week after Rachel stopped visiting Ava. I had read it at 2 in the morning while my daughter slept on the couch because she had started having nightmares. The phrase emotional distraction appeared twice. "You knew my wife had left." "Yes." "You knew Ava was not sleeping." "Yes." "And you wrote that." Claire set the spoon down. "I was angry at you." "For what?" "For leaving at 5:30. "That is not an answer." Her gaze moved to Ava's drawings. "My mother was dying, and I still answered every call. I missed appointments because Graham said the company needed me. After she died, people praised my discipline." She swallowed. "Then you kept choosing your daughter. Every time you left, it made my choices look less inevitable. So you punished me for proving you had choices." "Yes." Nothing in her face asked me to comfort her. I carried the bowls to the sink. The handle of Ava's mug shifted when I touched it. Claire reached into her coat pocket. "What are you doing?" "I have epoxy." "You carry epoxy?" "My briefcase broke last month." She cleaned the crack, applied the glue, and held the handle in place with both thumbs. "You cannot use it until tomorrow," she said. "Ava will ask who fixed it. Tell her the truth." Claire released the mug and stepped back. "I hate that part of me understands you," I said. "You should." That is not forgiveness. I know. I spent years making excuses for people because understanding them felt safer than admitting they chose to hurt me. I chose it. And now you are confessing as if that gives you control over the ending. Her face changed. What do you want me to do? Stay long enough to hear the answer. She did. I told her about Rachel's note beneath the sugar bowl. I told her I had spent years trying to become impossible to abandon by becoming useful to everyone. I told her that when Ava asked if she had made things worse, I wanted to promise nothing would change. Although rent, insurance, and school were already changing. I do not know how to fight this without making her pay for it, I said. Claire did not reach for me. Then do not fight it for me. This is not for you. Do not fight it to prove you are good either. What should I fight for? Your name, your work. The answer you want Ava to remember when someone teaches her that love means disappearing. Her hand rested on the table between us. Mine was close enough to feel its warmth. For one dangerous second, exhaustion made being seen feel like safety. Claire pulled back first. Not tonight. I stood. Not while you still sign my paycheck. I asked the board to suspend my authority over you. That is not enough. No. Not while gratitude can be mistaken for consent. Not while guilt makes you generous. And not until telling the truth costs you something you did not volunteer to lose. What if it cost me everything? Then you will know what you asked me to risk. A floorboard creaked. Ava stood in the hallway wrapped in her blanket. Her eyes moved from Claire to the repaired mug. Did you fix it? Claire did not answer for me. I lifted the mug carefully. Claire did. Does that mean it is not broken anymore? No, I said. It means we know where the crack is. Claire lowered her eyes. Outside, headlights swept across the wall. A black sedan stopped at the curb. Graham stepped out with a man carrying a legal envelope. The man beside Graham introduced himself as outside counsel for the agency. He handed me the envelope without stepping inside. Receipt is not an admission, he said. Graham remained on the sidewalk. Claire moved toward the door. I caught her wrist. Do not. He brought this to your home, and he wants you to react at my door. I let go first. The attorney waited until I signed, then followed Graham back to the sedan. Inside was a preservation notice, a demand for the gray folder, and a warning that duplicating company files could be treated as theft of trade secrets. A second document suspended my bonus. A third stated that health coverage would continue only through the review period. Nora read each page at the kitchen counter. Review period means whenever they decide it ends. I know. You need a lawyer tomorrow. Claire opened her phone. I can call. No. The answer came too hard. Ava flinched in the hallway. I lowered my voice. Not your lawyer, not your money, not someone who owes you. Claire put the phone away. Nora tapped the letter. Principals do not pay retainers. Neither does becoming dependent on the person whose signature helped create this. Claire accepted the sentence. Ava carried the repaired mug to the table. You said I could not use it until tomorrow. You cannot. Then why is it still here? Because repaired things still need time. She set it down carefully. Claire buttoned her coat. I will send the board a formal recusal tonight. That freezes your authority over me. Yes. And your voting rights. Yes. What does it cost you? My position if the board decides I failed my duties. My shares if North Star invokes the misconduct clause. I open the door. Do it because it is true. Not because you want me to trust you. Claire paused beside the frame. I do not know how to separate those yet. Then start there. She left without asking when she could return. The next morning, I sat across from a legal aid attorney named Jonah Price in an office above a tax service. Jonah read every page, twice. They want the folder back because possession lets them call you a thief, he said. Surrendering it without a verified copy leaves you defenseless. Can I copy it? Not casually. We request an independent examiner and preserve chain of custody. How much? He wrote a number on a yellow pad. More than 2 months of rent. I have $4,000 in savings. You have a child. I am aware. Then do not empty the account because you are angry. I am not angry. That may be your bigger problem. He offered a reduced retainer. The first installment still meant using the emergency fund Ava believed was for a summer trip. I signed. Outside, I transferred the money before I could reconsider. The bank balance dropped low enough to tighten my chest. My phone showed a message from the school nurse. Ava needs a refill authorization on file. The pharmacy app listed the price without insurance. At noon, Lena called. Claire submitted her recusal. She is no longer authorized to supervise you or access your personnel decisions. Is she still employed? For now. My insurance? Active through Friday, pending the board's review. Friday was 2 days away. Lena continued. Graham has offered a separation package. 6 months salary, health coverage through year-end, and mutual non-disparagement. And the Hail campaign? You waive all claims to ownership or additional compensation. Rent, medicina, school, silence. Send it to my attorney. When I picked Ava up, she held her backpack against her chest. Mrs. Kemp said I can ask her before I call you at work. You can always call me. What if calling you makes them take something else away? Children heard the truth through closed doors and unfinished sentences. I could not promise the consequences would stop. What they are doing is wrong, I said. Needing me is not. At home, I found the blue notebook beneath a pile of mail. The story I had been writing ended halfway through a sentence. Its hero had spent every chapter opening doors for stranded animals. I had never decided what happened when his own house began to fall apart. Ava sat across from me doing math. If you lose your job because you came to school for me, I can stop calling. My chair scraped the floor. No. I can ask Mrs. Kemp. You are not a problem. Her pencil stayed above the page. Then why does everyone write me down like one? I knelt beside her. The reviews, the meeting, the security guard, every adult decision had taught her the same lesson. This is not happening because you needed me. It is happening because people used something good to justify something dishonest. But if I needed you less, I would still be your father. She cried without sound. I held out my hand. She chose when to take it. That evening, Claire sent one message. Recusal accepted. I will not contact you again unless you ask or there is evidence you must receive. No apology. No explanation. The boundary should have felt like relief. Instead, the apartment noticed her absence. I turned the phone face down and opened Graham's offer. The number could keep Ava safe for a year. The paragraph beneath it required me to confirm that Graham had originated the Hail campaign and that Claire's conduct had impaired her judgment. He wanted my name and hers in the same exchange. Mine erased. Hers discredited. Jonah called before I reached the signature page. Do not sign tonight. North Star requested an interview tomorrow. Why? They found the external verification record. Hope rose too quickly. Graham says Claire created it after the fact. Can he prove that? He only needs doubt. A knock came from the hallway. Maya stood outside holding a cardboard banker's box. My work, laptop, badge, and resignation, she said. They asked me to sign a statement saying you ordered me to copy the metadata. Did you? No. I wrote what happened instead. She handed me a signed page. Graham told payroll to prepare termination papers for anyone who refuses the official account. The cost had reached someone besides me. I gave the page back. Keep the original. Send Jonah a copy. You need it. I need you protected too. After she left, Nora placed Graham's offer beside the blue notebook. You could sign. Ava would have insurance. I know. And no one would blame you. That was the dangerous part. I picked up the pen. Then I saw the blue notebook beneath the contract, open to the unfinished sentence. I set the pen down. The next morning I emailed Lena, North Star, and both attorneys. I would return the folder through an independent examiner. I would cooperate with the investigation. I would not accept the separation package. I would not waive authorship. I would not describe Claire as impaired to protect Graham. Before sending it, I added, my daughter is not evidence against my professionalism. I pressed send. At 9:12, payroll removed my access to the employee portal. At 9:14, the pharmacy notified me that Ava's coverage could not be verified. At 9:16, Graham sent one sentence. You have until noon to decide whether truth is worth what this will cost her. At 9:20, the pharmacy called. We can hold Ava's inhaler until 5, the technician said. After that, we have to return it to stock. How much without coverage? She gave me the number. It was not impossible. That made it worse. Impossible would have left no choice. I opened the separation agreement again. 6 months salary. Insurance through December. One signature. One lie. Nora stood across the kitchen with her arms folded. Sign it. Ava was in the bedroom pretending not to listen. I cannot. You can. You do not want to. They want me to say Graham created the campaign. They want words. Ava needs medicine. They also want me to say Claire's judgment was impaired. Nora pulled out a chair. Was it not? Not when she signed the reviews. Not when she concealed the memorandum. She made choices. And now you are protecting her. I am protecting the truth. From where I am standing, the truth has excellent health insurance, and your daughter does not. The sentence hit because part of it was fair. My phone rang before I answered. Rachel. I had not heard my former wife's voice in 4 months. Why is there a picture of Ava outside your company? Who sent it to you? A woman from the school parent group. Rachel. She said you brought Ava into an employment dispute involving your boss. She was at a public library with Nora. You were meeting Claire. I was reviewing evidence. With our daughter nearby. Our daughter. Rachel used the phrase when responsibility could be turned into authority. I did not put Ava in danger. You do not get to decide that alone. A paper rustled on her end. I spoke with a lawyer. My hand tightened around the phone. About what? Temporary decision-making authority until your employment situation is stable. Rachel had missed birthdays, school conferences, and 6 consecutive weekends. Now Graham's story had given her a respectable way to return. Did anyone from the company contact you? No. I saw the photographs in the parent group. I called a lawyer because you stopped answering me about the schedule. The message beside my keys returned to me. Rachel had been asking to revisit the arrangement since the science fair. The photograph gave her an argument that sounded responsible. She ended the call. Nora sat down. She has been waiting for a reason to call you unstable. She has been waiting for a reason to feel like she did not leave. Those are not the same thing. No. Someone had taken a workplace lie and carried it into family court. At 10:11, Jonah forwarded a letter from Rachel's attorney requesting financial records, employment status, and all communications with Claire. At 10:23, the school removed me from the approved pickup list, pending clarification of custodial concerns. At 10:40, Ava came out wearing her coat. You said you would drive me. I could not. Nora took the keys from the counter. I will. Ava stared at me. Did I do something again? No. You always say no after something changes. The door closed behind them before I found an answer that did not sound like another promise I could not keep. At 11, North Star began the interview without Claire. Their counsel appeared on a video screen beside Jonah. Lena joined from the company. Richard Hale sat in his own office. Graham did not attend. That should have warned me. North Star's attorney shared a document. Maya Chen submitted this statement last night. It accurately described the metadata transfer, Graham's instruction, and Claire's approval. Then the attorney displayed a second page. An internal chat showed Maya asking me 6 months earlier whether I wanted her to keep a clean copy somewhere safe. My reply read, Please do. I do not trust what they are changing. Jonah leaned toward the screen. Context matters. It does, the attorney said. This can be read as advanced coordination to remove proprietary records. I asked her to preserve my work. On company systems. Yes. Without authorization. Yes. The truth did not become harmless simply because it was mine. I had asked Maya to save the copy. I had forgotten the message because nothing came of it then. Now Graham could paint the entire archive as a plan I began months earlier. Lena's face remained neutral. There is more. She played an audio clip from the emergency meeting. My voice said, I understand the appearance Graham created. Then Claire. I had participated in falsifying the record used against him. The clip ended there. Cut out were Graham's questions, the photograph, and the discussion of authorship. North Star's attorney asked, Was Miss Mercer altering personnel records on your behalf before the night at the hotel? No. Can you prove that? The records themselves prove they were used against me. Yet she reversed her position immediately after you took her home. Richard Hale shifted closer to his camera. Who supplied this recording? Lena answered. Graham submitted it this morning. The attorney continued. Until we verify the full audio in the archive, North Star is freezing the acquisition. The Hale expansion is also paused. By noon, every department would know the pause had followed my refusal to sign. Graham had widened the cost until every frightened employee could blame me. After the interview, Jonah warned that Rachel's filing made the separation package look like financial stability to a judge. And admitting a lie would make me look dishonest, I said. That is the risk. I opened the revised agreement. Graham had added one paragraph. I acknowledged that stress related to parenting had affected my judgment and contributed to inappropriate boundaries with Claire. He was not only taking my work, he was writing Ava into the confession. I typed my name beneath the signature line. The cursor blinked. My phone showed 3 missed calls from the pharmacy. I moved the pointer toward submit. A message appeared from Claire. I know you asked me not to contact you. Read this only if you are considering Graham's offer. Attached was her resignation letter. She had surrendered her title, voting rights, and claim to the acquisition bonus. She also accepted responsibility for the false reviews and the memorandum she had concealed. There was no request that I keep fighting. Only one sentence beneath the attachment. Do not use my consequences as a reason to choose yours. I closed the agreement without sending it. Then Jonah called. The examiner had recovered a compliance journal copy of a message Graham deleted from his mailbox and preserved it in the first server snapshot. To the building security manager, once Cole signs, destroy the archive confirmation and wipe the original lobby request. A second line followed. Claire has resigned. The family pressure should finish this. The evidence had not appeared because Graham made a careless mistake. It existed because Jonah had demanded preservation before the system could be cleaned. My chair struck the wall when I stood. He is using what happened to Ava. He is exploiting it, Jonah said. That is different from controlling everyone who reacts. I am done waiting. That is what he wants. Anger makes you easier to describe. The old impulse changed shape. This time I did not want to apologize. I wanted to destroy him. Both reactions gave Graham control. I walked to Ava's room and found the blue notebook on her pillow. She had written beneath my unfinished sentence in purple pencil. The house did not fall because he stopped opening the door. It fell because no one ever helped him fix it. I read it until my breathing slowed. Then I called Jonah. I will not sign. Good. I also will not leak Graham's message. Better. I want the full archive, the complete audio, and the original security request presented together. That requires a formal board hearing. Then request one. And Rachel? I stared at Ava's sentence. We answer her in court. We do not bargain with Graham through my daughter. At 3:17, the board scheduled an emergency hearing for Friday morning. At 3:19, Graham sent me a final message. You think the archive saves you? Ask Claire what the memorandum actually said. Friday morning, the boardroom table had been cleared, except for 3 folders, 2 laptops, and a glass pitcher no one touched. Jonah sat to my right. Claire sat at the far end, separated from me by 6 empty chairs. Graham arrived last. He carried no notes. Ava was at school under Nora's pickup authorization. Rachel's petition would be handled elsewhere. Jonah had refused to let the board turn a custody dispute into evidence about authorship. Paul Danner opened the hearing. This is not a trial. We are here to determine authorship, misconduct, and whether the acquisition process was compromised. Graham folded his hands. Then begin with the employee who removed proprietary materials and developed an inappropriate relationship with his supervisor. Jonah started to speak. I touched his sleeve. I will answer. The board's examiner displayed the complete version history. 43 drafts carried my name. Research notes, client interviews, strategy language, and presentation scripts all matched files from my account. Then came the attribution change. Claire's approval. Graham's final authorship. North Star's attorney asked, Mr. Vale, did you originate the campaign? I directed it. That was not the question. I provided executive oversight. Did you write the original proposal? No. Richard Hale leaned toward the table. Then why did the board materials list you as sole author? Leadership carries responsibility for the final work product. I opened the gray folder. The wine stain had dried into the corner like a second signature. Leadership is not authorship. He turned toward me. And copying company files does not make them yours. I did not copy the archive. You asked Maya Chen to preserve it. Yes. So you admit planning to remove confidential material. I admit I was afraid my work was being changed without my consent. Fear is not authorization. No, but neither is power. Paul raised one hand. Stay with the facts. I slid Maya's statement across the table. She preserved metadata on company systems. Graham asked her to certify that I had never owned the campaign. She is a disgruntled former employee. She resigned after you asked her to sign something false. The examiner played the complete audio from the emergency meeting, Claire admitting she falsified the record, Graham introducing her mother's death to discredit her, Richard asking who released the photograph, Graham saying he had asked security to protect the company. North Star's attorney opened the security log. The original request came from your account at 6:14 a.m., Mr. Vale. Routine preservation. The request specified a crop. For privacy. It excluded you from the frame. His expression held. Only the fingers beneath the table moved. The examiner displayed the compliance journal copy recovered from the server snapshot. Once Cole signs, destroy the archive confirmation and wiped the original lobby request. Graham did not look at Claire. That was a draft instruction. It was never acted on. The examiner checked the log. It was delivered to building security at 9:03 p.m. and opened 4 minutes later. Graham linked his hands. Routine deletion after a retention period. North Star's counsel read the sentence again. It ordered destruction after Mr. Cole signed, not after a retention period. Paul let the silence hold before counsel turned to Claire. Explain the memorandum you removed from due diligence. She opened the silver laptop, but did not turn it on. I withheld one document from North Star, and from the copy I first gave Ethan. After my recusal, I surrendered the original to the examiner. What document? Paul asked. A draft memorandum. Written by whom? Claire's eyes mimine. Me. Graham stopped hiding his relief. Claire continued. 6 months ago, before Graham wrote the final review, I argued that Ethan's family responsibilities could justify transferring leadership. My chest went hollow. Claire placed a printed page on the table. I removed it because I wanted to believe Graham created the cruelty, and I had only failed to stop him. She pushed the page toward the examiner. The language began with me. The memorandum described me as a retention risk, and an employee whose domestic obligations made resistance unlikely. One sentence had been underlined. Cole will accept the decision if it is framed as necessary for the team. Claire's initials sat beneath it. Graham smiled. There, the witness against me designed the strategy herself. Claire did not defend herself. Yes, you manipulated the board. Yes, you removed evidence. Yes. And now you expect them to trust your confession? No, I expect them to verify it. She produced the original email header, and the forensic examiner confirmed the timestamp. Paul turned to me. Mr. Cole, does this change your claim? It changes what I believed about Claire. Does it change who wrote the campaign? No. Does it change whether your personnel record was falsified? No. Does it affect your willingness to cooperate with her? That is not what this hearing is deciding. Graham leaned forward. It is exactly what this hearing is deciding. He wants you to believe this is about authorship, because the personal arrangement is harder to defend. There was no arrangement. You carried her home. Yes. She brought you confidential files. Yes. She resigned after you demanded accountability. I did not ask her to resign. You met privately, at a public library with witnesses and cameras. You see? Graham addressed the board. Every boundary moved after that night. I let him finish. For years I had softened facts, supplied excuses, and made my own anger sound unreasonable. Not this time. You are right about one thing, I said. Boundaries did move. I placed my phone beside the folder. My daughter stopped being a private weakness you could write into a review. My work stopped being something you could rename because I was too polite to object. Claire stopped calling obedience loyalty. Maya stopped signing what she knew was false. Once the photograph spread, the lie entered my daughter's school in a custody filing without you having to control every person who repeated it. Graham faced me. You made your daughter leverage when you brought your personal life into the workplace. Every old apology waited behind my teeth. I stood instead. My daughter was never leverage. She was the reason you thought I would stay quiet. No one interrupted. You did not mistake me for unreliable. You needed me to be unreliable because the truth had my name on it. Graham's hand struck the table. Your name is on nothing without this company. The pitcher shook. A drop of water crossed the wood. It was the first sentence he had not polished. Richard Hale closed his laptop. My company hired this firm because of Ethan's strategy. We did not authorize Graham Vale to claim authorship. North Star's counsel requested an immediate recess. Paul refused. We have enough to act. The board suspended Graham pending investigation, froze the acquisition, and referred the security request and deletion instructions to outside counsel. Claire's resignation was accepted. Her shares remained frozen. My termination order was withdrawn. The board offered reinstatement, back pay, and the title I had been denied. I read the offer once. Then I closed it. I want payment for the work already used, written recognition of authorship, and release from my non-compete. Paul frowned. You do not want the promotion? I wanted it when I believed this company could decide whether I deserved my own name. Claire did not smile. She sat with the memorandum she had written in front of her and accepted that my victory did not restore us. Outside, reporters waited near the glass doors. Jonah asked whether I wanted him to make a statement. No. What will you say? I took the gray folder from beneath my arm. The truth. Then I walked toward the cameras before anyone else could write it for me. 9 months later, the gray folder lived in the bottom drawer of my desk. The drawer had a lock. I rarely used it. My office was one room above a bakery, with a rattling window and space for a second desk I had not filled. 3 companies hired me after Richard Hale publicly confirmed my authorship. None offered the kind of salary North Star once promised, but the work was mine. The contracts carried my name, and no one asked whether Ava's school schedule made me a continuity risk. I still checked every document twice, and some nights I woke convinced my access had been revoked. Winning had not taught my body that the danger was over. Ava understood that better than most adults. She knocked before entering the office, even when the door was open. "Are you busy or pretending to be busy?" Those are very different accusations. She placed a package on my desk, the first printed copy of The Door That Stayed Open. My blue notebook lay beside it, its pages bent, coffee-marked, and filled with 3 different kinds of handwriting. Ava's repaired blue mug sat beside both, the fracture line still visible beneath the glaze. Mine, Ava's purple pencil, one note from Claire, written months after the hearing. "Do not make the ending kinder than the truth." I had not. The house in the story was repaired, but one wall remained uneven. The man who opened every door learned to ask who would stay and help when the rain came through. No one rescued him. People simply stopped leaving him alone with the repairs. Ava opened the book to the dedication. "For the person who taught me that being needed is not the same as being loved." "That sounds sad," she said. "It is a little sad. Is it about Mom? It is about more than one person." She accepted that without pretending not to understand. Rachel withdrew her petition after the court received the complete security record and the board's findings. She began calling Ava every Sunday. She missed 2 calls in the first month. Ava stopped waiting beside the phone after the second. I did not explain Rachel's intentions or ask Ava to forgive her. I only kept the kitchen light on until bedtime. Graham remained under investigation. Maya found work at a smaller agency and sent me a photo of her new employee agreement with the authorship clause circled. Claire did not return to executive work. She spent 4 months cooperating with investigators, began counseling, and sold her mother's house before taking a job that gave her authority over no one. We did not speak for 12 weeks after the hearing. That had been my choice, and she honored it. Then, an email arrived. "I have no evidence you need to see and nothing left to confess. I only wanted to ask whether silence is still what you need from me. No apology. No invitation." I answered the following day. Our first meeting was at a diner halfway between our apartments. No hotel bar, company office, or folder on the table. Claire ordered coffee and forgot to drink it. "I am not asking you to trust me," she said. "Only whether I can earn the chance to be known after what I did. That is not the same thing as trust." No. Over the next 4 months, we met occasionally. Nothing moved quickly. She did not come to Ava's school, bring expensive gifts, or use old contacts to help with the book. She worked contract operations for a neighborhood legal clinic and helped former employees organize retaliation records without asking to be praised for it. When my first publisher rejected the book, Claire listened without calling anyone. That restraint meant more than rescue would have. "The clinic pays badly," she told me once. "You can survive that. I am learning." The evening the first printed copy arrived, she came to the office carrying soup from the diner. Ava sat on the floor, labeling envelopes for family and friends. Claire stopped beside the second desk. "You still have not hired anyone." "I like the space." "That is a careful answer. It is the true one." She put the soup down. Neither of us pretended the empty desk meant something it did not. Later, Ava left with Nora for a movie. Claire and I remained beside the window while snow began collecting on the fire escape. My phone rang at 10:14. An unknown number. My shoulders tightened before the second ring. Claire noticed. She did not tell me to ignore it. She did not say I was safe. She turned her own phone face down and waited. I answered. It was a prospective client apologizing for the late hour. "I can speak tomorrow," I said. My voice stayed steady. After the call, Claire touched the edge of the blue notebook. "You still hate late calls, and you still check doors twice." Neither of us pretended those things had disappeared. Her hand rested beside mine. This time, neither of us pulled away because of exhaustion, gratitude, guilt, or fear. I turned my palm upward. She placed her hand in it. No promise followed. No kiss repaired the past. The snow kept falling, and the radiator knocked like someone asking to be let in. Claire glanced toward the desk drawer. "Do you still have the folder?" "Yes." "Do you ever read it?" Sometimes. Why? I considered giving her an easier answer. I am not ready to forget what it took to believe myself. She nodded. Do you want me to take it? No. Do you want to destroy it? Not yet. I unlocked the drawer and placed the first copy of my book above the stained folder. The red mark was still visible along one corner. It no longer sat on top. Claire watched me close the drawer. That is not forgiveness, I said. She nodded. It is not punishment either. The radiator knocked again. This time, I laughed. Claire did too, softly, without turning the sound into a celebration. People can steal more than a job. They can steal the language everyone else uses to understand you. The first thing I reclaimed was not the campaign. It was authorship, the right to say, this is my work. This is my daughter. This is what happened. And my name stays on it. If you have ever had to reclaim your name from someone else's version of you, tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.